Manila, Philippines. In the heart of Southeast Asia, a pivotal moment is unfolding. The Philippines, a nation of over 100 million people, stands at a crossroads that could define its security and sovereignty for decades to come. The country is on the verge of finalizing a landmark agreement to acquire Swedish-made Gripen fighter jets. This isn't just another military purchase, it's a transformative step that could elevate the Philippines' air defense capabilities to a level never seen before in its history. For generations, the Philippine Air Force has relied on outdated aircraft, many of which are relics from past eras. While neighboring countries have rapidly modernized their fleets, the Philippines has struggled to keep pace, often making do with limited resources and aging technology. The urgency for modernization has never been greater. With mounting threats and territorial disputes in the West Philippine Sea, the need for a credible and modern air force is no longer just about acquiring new hardware, it's about defending national sovereignty and protecting the livelihoods of millions. Yet, the dream of a robust air defense system has long been stifled by budget constraints, shifting government priorities, and the sheer scale of investment required. Every peso spent is weighed against pressing social needs, making the decision even more complex. But the current geopolitical climate has changed the equation. Tensions in the region, shifting alliances, and the growing assertiveness of neighboring powers have made military modernization not just a goal, but an urgent necessity. Every day, Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard patrols face intimidation and harassment in their own waters. These incidents are not isolated. They are a constant reminder of the vulnerabilities the nation faces without a credible deterrent. The Gripen deal represents more than just the acquisition of advanced jets. It is a bold declaration to the world and to its own people that the Philippines will no longer be a passive observer in its own backyard. It signals a new era of self-reliance and determination. Valued at billions of pesos, this deal is a monumental undertaking for a developing nation. It requires not only financial commitment, but also political will and public support. As the government balances national security with economic realities, Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. and the Department of National Defense now face a daunting challenge: to secure the nation's future without jeopardizing its present. Their decisions in the coming weeks will shape the country's defense posture for years to come. The necessary funds exist, but they are locked behind layers of bureaucracy and complex budgetary mechanisms. Unlocking these resources will require not just paperwork, but bold leadership and a clear vision for the nation's future. It will take careful strategy, unwavering commitment, and a willingness to make tough choices. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is slim. The world is watching closely as the Philippines weighs the cost of action against the risks of inaction. Allies and adversaries alike are paying attention to what this decision will signal about the country's resolve. Across the nation, from bustling cities to remote fishing villages, Filipinos hold their breath. The outcome of this deal could reshape the country's destiny, offering hope for a safer, more secure future, or raising new questions about the path ahead. To truly understand why there are delays in major government projects, especially in defense, we need to take a closer look at how the government's budget system actually works. It's not just about having money on paper. There's a complex process behind every peso spent. The national budget is divided into two main categories: programmed funds and unprogrammed funds. Programmed funds are the backbone of government spending. These are guaranteed, planned allocations for essential services and projects like salaries, infrastructure, and social programs. They're locked in and ready to be used as soon as the fiscal year begins. On the other hand, unprogrammed funds are more like a financial safety net. They're only available if the government collects more revenue than expected, or if it secures new loans. In other words, they're not guaranteed, and accessing them depends on the country's financial performance. For the military's modernization program, nearly 289 billion pesos is currently parked under these unprogrammed funds. This is real money, earmarked for critical upgrades like new fighter jets, but it's not immediately accessible. It's like having a savings account you can only tap into if you get a big bonus at work. Accessing these funds isn't automatic or simple. The Bureau of the Treasury must first certify that there's excess revenue, meaning the government has collected more money than it originally planned for. Only after this certification can the process move forward. Once the Bureau gives the green light, only then can the Department of National Defense formally request the release of these funds. This extra step is designed to ensure fiscal discipline and prevent overspending. While this two-step process helps keep the country's finances in check, it also complicates large, time-sensitive projects, especially those involving multi-billion peso deals like fighter jet acquisitions. The D&D must wait for the right financial conditions before it can proceed. The Department of National Defense knows the money is technically set aside, but it can't sign binding contracts based on promises or future possibilities. They need certainty before making commitments. Suppliers like Saab, who manufacture advanced fighter jets, require firm financial guarantees before they even begin production. They can't risk building multi-million-dollar equipment on the hope that funds will eventually be released. Imagine trying to buy a house with a loan that's only approved if you get a bonus next year. No seller would agree to those terms. The uncertainty makes it impossible to close the deal. This is the budgetary battlefield the D&D faces every year. They're caught between the need to modernize and the reality of uncertain funding. The challenge is enormous, securing a multi-year, multi-billion peso deal with funds that aren't guaranteed. Every step forward is met with financial roadblocks and bureaucratic hurdles. Until the money is absolutely certain and released, the D&D can't move forward with signing contracts or starting new projects. Everything remains on hold, no matter how urgent the need. The fate of the Gripen deal and the future of the country's air defense hangs in the balance, caught in this web of financial uncertainty and procedural delays. The Department of National Defense is cautious for a reason: financial risk. When it comes to national security, every decision carries weight, but so does every peso spent. The D&D must balance the urgent need for modern equipment with the realities of the country's finances. Signing a multi-billion-dollar contract without cash in hand is like writing a check you might not be able to cash. It's a gamble that could backfire, leaving the country with obligations it cannot meet. The stakes are high, and the consequences of overcommitting are severe. If the government fails to generate the needed revenue, the Philippines could default, damaging its credit rating and reputation. This would make borrowing more expensive in the future, and could even limit the country's ability to fund essential services. Secretary Teodoro knows the dangers of betting on future economic performance. He understands that optimism alone can't pay the bills, and that prudent planning is essential. Global uncertainties, oil prices, inflation, conflicts can disrupt revenue forecasts. Even a small shift in the global economy can have ripple effects, making it harder for the government to meet its obligations. Defense contracts are binding, with strict payment schedules and penalties for delays. Once signed, there's no turning back, and the government must deliver on its promises or face serious consequences. Missing payments can trigger penalties and legal action. This could mean costly lawsuits, damaged relationships with suppliers, and even the loss of critical defense assets. That's why the D&D won't request unprogrammed funds until it's sure of full financing. Careful budgeting and coordination with the finance ministry are essential to avoid costly mistakes. This isn't disinterest, it's responsible governance. The D&D's caution is about protecting the country's interests, not about delaying progress. Teodoro wants to avoid the start-stop failures of past projects and ensure the jets arrive on time and on budget. By waiting for secure funding, he's working to guarantee that the Philippines gets the defense capabilities it needs, without risking its financial future. The reported 61 billion peso price tag for the Gripen deal is just the beginning. Modern air defense requires more than jets, it's an entire ecosystem. The package includes airborne early warning aircraft, ground support infrastructure, pilot and crew training, and long-term logistics. Without these, the fighters are ineffective. The full modernization could cost several $billion over a decade. The decision is about building a comprehensive air defense network, not just buying jets. Secretary Teodoro's caution is rooted in the realities of defense modernization. It's not just about buying jets, it's about sustaining them for decades. Maintenance, upgrades, and spare parts are long-term commitments. The broader AFP modernization program aims to upgrade the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Focusing too much on one project could sideline others. Teodoro seeks a balanced, holistic approach, strengthening all branches without starving any. The D&D is reviewing the total financial commitment for the fighter jets against other priorities. The goal: fund the jets without creating a budgetary black hole. Teodoro wants a credible air defense while modernizing the entire military. It's a delicate balancing act between ambition and fiscal responsibility. The need for modern fighters is clear in the West Philippine Sea. China's aggressive actions threaten Philippine sovereignty daily. The current fleet of FA-50s can't match China's advanced jets, creating a dangerous imbalance. Without credible air defense, the Philippines can't deter or respond to provocations. Gripens would change the equation, serving as a powerful deterrent. Modern fighters would reinforce diplomatic protests with real capability. The Indo-Pacific is growing more complex, and alliances are deepening. A modern air force makes the Philippines a stronger partner in regional security. The Gripen jets are not just weapons, they're tools of foreign policy. They offer the Philippines a more meaningful seat at the regional table. The D&D is exploring creative ways to finance the Gripen deal. Supplier credit, essentially a loan from Sweden or its export credit agency, is a leading option. This would let the Philippines pay over 10-15 years, not all at once. Such loans often have low interest and long repayment periods, easing the budget impact. The contract would be backed by a sovereign guarantee, signaling the nation's commitment. This is standard for major international deals and reassures lenders. Secretary Teodoro and economic managers are weighing the benefits and risks. Supplier financing with a sovereign guarantee appears the most viable path. It bridges urgent defense needs with fiscal prudence. The clock is ticking on the modernization program. Unused, unprogrammed funds risk being reallocated if not committed soon. Delays could set back the fighter jet acquisition by years, widening the capability gap. Adversaries are modernizing fast. Every year of indecision puts the Philippines further behind. Defense hardware prices are rising, and production slots are limited. Hesitation could mean losing favorable terms and delivery slots. Training pilots for new jets takes years. Delays slow this critical process. The risk isn't just financial, it's strategic and human. The opportunity to modernize may not come again soon. The nation must act before the window closes. The Philippines stands at a historic crossroads, urgent defense needs versus fiscal reality. The Gripen deal is a strategic imperative, but budget constraints are real. Secretary Teodoro and his team must balance ambition with caution, ensuring no branch is left behind. Supplier credit with a sovereign guarantee offers a pragmatic solution. The final decision rests with President Marcos Jr. and his cabinet. This is more than procurement, it's a defining moment for the nation's future. The choice will signal the country's resolve to its people and the world. The skies await their new guardians, a symbol of pride and commitment to freedom.